Greetings, our adoring audience. My wife has just walked into the room with pizza. Thank you.
That's a very adoring audience right there.
That's changed in 3 years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just a lot has changed. I now have pizza, and welcome to the Masters of Dungeons. This is Surreal. I am Molly, also known as Mortimer, the bartender across space and time that they met in session 1 that they don't know has actually been the god of this whole world the whole time.
You don't have a Russian accent.
Doesn't have a Russian accent.
It's actually been the god. Still not a Russian
That's
accent.
still not Russian.
Yep. So. But I've introduced myself. It has been 3 years and 8 months since we last played. I will now let everyone else introduce themselves. We don't have an introduction order. Good luck, guys.
It is me! Sorry. We take 2. Good. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Logan, and I will be reprising my role after 3 years and an undefined number of days as Illios, the Lionheart, Paladin of Ilmater.
Who wants to follow that?
I'm Milo.
Nailed it.
The teenage edgelord who is still deciding whether he wants to look up to Omen or kill and replace him.
Yeah.
Yes. For now, for the most part, observing the party and learning his place.
Name's Wes. I'm playing Omen, hopefully for more than one session, but that remains to be seen.
Oh, and I'm Julian.
Yes.
I'm Ryan. I'm playing Noki, the gnomish gunslinger, and I vote for kill and replace Omen. Then I'm willing to help.
That's 2 out of 3. 2.5 if we count Milo. So,
Omen doesn't get a vote.
no.
I also don't get a vote.
Ooh,
That's why I said 2 out of 3.
Tiebreaker.
All right. So, probably should have asked this before we went live. I don't think we really need to read out the session 28 recap. I think we're pretty good on that. Yeah.
Yep.
Can't remember what happened.
I definitely did not, first thing waking up, read a bunch of documents going over what happened.
Yeah. TLDR. It's too long. I didn't read. So.
Right. Well, short story short, for the viewer that is definitely not me. The party had multiple conversations with the sentient blade known as God's Bane, who had been wielded by Gareth Dalton, a traitor to the Mariborian resistance in the initial celestial incursion into the continent of Illios. And they had multiple conversations with the sword. There were very fun times, discussions of morality, of ethics, of whether or not it was good to, in fact, consume a soul, or to act on said urges. It was great. And it caused a bit of a tizzy in the party. And so that is where we are going to start with Gnocchi, his hand on the hilt of his pistol, staring across at Omen, and Illigith and Milo have yet to respond. But even though I said that's where we're going to start, I roleplay Raymond, and so I make the random decision to start as Raymond. If I can pull up my cutscene. Perfect. Oh, damn it all! Raymond wheezed in annoyance, tripping over something in the snow. Probably a wayward pebble again, which would just be his luck. It never quite made sense to him how his foot could get caught up on such a minuscule obstacle, even if it was hidden in all this damn snow. But considering this was probably the 129th time in the last few days that it happened, both he and the Dwarven Rangers he was with took it in stride. Quite literally, as they were very fast, despite their stature, and he had trouble keeping up. He wasn't exactly the peak of human performance after all, even after months of traveling with Ilgath and company. What did I ever expect? Raymond thought to himself, as well as at least 6 other rangers, sighing almost mutedly as they started to slow, probably to let him catch up. Again. Even Captain Yoki could run faster than me going on a leisurely stroll after beating Illigith in a snoo-eating contest. It just isn't fair. As soon as he regained his footing, he nearly slammed into one of the rangers, who deftly dodged his unintended assault. They had all come to a stop. Raymond looked up, stifling his breathing. Dolgrim had raised his fist, calling the group to a halt. He looked up to the sky, frowning, the descending sun obscured by the biting wind and heavy clouds. The war band and his friends were far in the distance. They had begun to halt, setting up their large and unwieldy Goliath tents. Hopefully Ilgath can get one of those for himself. It's a wonder his has even lasted this long. I try to make repairs to his tent when he's not looking, but... We'll make camp near that outcropping, Dolgrim barked out. No fires, Rangers. Don't settle down too much either. We have to be quick. That war captain might have scouts looking for us. I'll take first watch with Raymond. Raymond deflated, seeing as he wanted nothing more than to keel over and fall down into the deceptively fluffy snow. He wouldn't be tricked again, he sighed. Some of the rangers glanced at Raymond, but they followed Dolgrim's orders without complaint. They weren't going to argue about getting some rest, and Dolgrim could watch as well as 3 of them, even on his own. Good thing, too, considering, well, he was Raymond. He plopped down on a stray log that Dolgrim drug over, and they sat in silence. Well, as silent as it could be with all the wind. A thought occurred to him. Remembering something, he closed his eyes, focusing on the howling wind. He listened, letting it calm him. Ilmater, are you there? Silence, as always, greeted him. He sighed. I don't understand how Illigith has done this every morning for years. I still feel like I'm just talking to myself. Well, on the off chance that you are listening to me, Ilmater, could you... His concentration was broken as he was smacked lightly on the shoulder. Dolgrim stared at him, grimacing. You know, an integral part of watch is, I don't know, watching? Raymond just stared blankly at him. Dolgrim raised an eyebrow. If you want to make excuses based on your, well, you being you, then you can definitely do that. I'll just continue to make fun of you until the goats come down from that mountain. And he pointed in the distance. Raymond frowned. Is that a reference to something? Dolgrim shrugged. Illigith is always using goat metaphors, so I assumed he would have them at Mount Morgul. Makes sense. They sat in silence for a while, staring at the warband making camp in the distance. Before seeing the other Goliaths, Illigith had been the tallest person Raymond had ever seen. And him, Gnocchi, Milo, and Omen, his friends, were surrounded by 30 of them. Or at least I hope Milo and Omen are my friends. I haven't had much chance to make them laugh yet. Although I don't think Omen is capable of laughing, but I could be wrong. Regardless, the thought of anything happening to them... He shook his head. He knew better than to be worried. Raymond had seen them take down an army of raging gnolls, destroy a hag coven, and even put a stop to a civil war. And that didn't even happen a week ago. And then he remembered Malvadrian, the legendary martyr of Serenity, dead on the palace floor as his blood pooled around him, and Illigith crying out to Ilmater, hands covered in red, weeping as he tried to will him back to life. And nothing happened. Even remembering it tore Raymond's and the audience's heart to shreds. No. They were powerful, but they weren't gods. They were still human. Well, about half of them were, if Omen counted. And that means that they could fall. Raymond smacked his face with both his palms, shaking his head. As he did so, something detached from his belt and hit the snow with a small thud. Dolgrim grunted. "You should really be more careful with that, Raymond. It's kind of important." He looked down at what had fallen. A repeater hand crossbow of dwarven make. The sigil of Maribor was emblazoned on its side. Malvadrian's weapon, the Liberty Hammer. Words flooded back to his mind, words that Illios had told him before they set out to Bleakstone. "Just as important as other body parts, so too is the heart. It is what keeps the spirit alive and keeps us going, my boy. You, Raymond, while it might seem that you are useless, are a crucial part of our companions. You are our heart." Raymond pursed his lips, frowning, and started thinking hard. He gripped the Liberty Hammer, resting his chin on it while he wrestled with his thoughts. Dolgrim groaned. "What? It's not like it's loaded." "Yes, you idiot, that's what makes what you're doing all right." "Never mind my stupidity, Dolgrim. It's an ever-present law of nature that cannot be fathomed or understood. Instead, I want to understand something else, and I have a question for you." "Shoot, I guess." "Do you know why Illios called me the heart of our group?" Dolgrim stared blankly at him. Did he really? That is bizarre." Raymond nodded emphatically. "I know, right? But he's Illios, so there's probably a deeper meaning to it. He said I kept the spirit of the group alive, or something like that." Dolgrim ran his fingers through his beard, contemplating. "You, certainly make us laugh. Usually at your expense, though." Raymond nodded eagerly. "You always try to keep a conversation going, even when we want you to shut up." "But what about when you don't want me to shut up?"
Then it's kind of nice, I guess."
Now that's a start at least. Thank you, Dolgrim."
"No problem. Can we get back to our watch now?"
Yes, of course. Watching. Hours later, Raymond arose from a, thankfully, uneventful sleep, but not a very long one either. The freezing cold and unceasing thoughts about your place in the world will do that to you on occasion. Raymond was tired, but that wasn't going to stop him from routine. It was just slightly different without his very large, pale friend. Regardless, he knelt in the snow away from the other rangers, arms crossed together just like Illios had shown him. He tried to quiet his thoughts, listening to the howling wind. "Ilmater, please keep them safe. They don't need any help winning, but safety? I mean, only really Gnocchi thinks about that. And if you don't mind answering a request from me directly, what does it mean to be the heart, as Illios described me? How can I be what holds us together, keeps us going, helps us endure, when I can't even fight or do much of anything, really?" The wind continued to howl, and like usual, he received no response. Raymond wanted to sigh, but instead he just knelt there, listening. "I want to help them in any way that I can, please." And he kept listening. Still nothing. "Please, Ilmater. Anything. The mountain winds, unceasing, continued to howl. He thought of Illigith again, weeping at the loss of Malvadrian. How a hole opened up in his heart on that day, bigger than the one in his chest. He thought of Gnocchi, so alone and tired, trying to hide how worn and ragged he was with a fake smile. Raymond knew that well. He thought of Milo, not knowing who he was, checking every corner for danger, how he pretends that it doesn't hurt. He thought of Omen, quiet, monotone, and seemingly without any joy or feeling. How awful an existence it must be. He thought of Malvadrian, how despite everything, his losses, his pain, he had a smile on his face when he died. The wind continued to howl, and words flowed back to him. Illigith's words, once again. Raymond, you say you cannot hear Ilmater, but he certainly speaks through you. Raymond jolted up as if from a trance, breathing heavily. The sun began to rise, warming him despite the cold. He looked at it. It always does rise again, doesn't it? He ran back to the Rangers' camp, who were just beginning to stir. Dolgrim, who was doing the rounds, checking on everyone. He looked at Raymond, raising an eyebrow. He clutched the Liberty Hammer in his right hand, bringing it to his chest. At the ready, my good buddy Dolgrim, sir! Dolgrim and some of the other Rangers gave him a strange look, but Raymond was used to that, and he couldn't contain himself. He think he knew what he needed to do and what his place was. Oh, my friends, continue the good fight, but until we can meet again, please don't lose yourselves without me. As those words echo and the camera shifts on the same morning that Raymond prayed, we find ourselves in the Goliath war camp that has just begun mobilizing for the day on this third day of travel. But there were 4 individuals that were not moving as the war band started. Gnocchi, his hand on his pistol, staring directly at Omen, staring back at him with seemingly dead but determined eyes. He was not going to give God's Bane back to Gnocchi. Illigith stood there next to his friends, tears almost streaming down his face from what had happened previously. The pain of losing Malvadrian had been ripped open like a fresh new wound, again and again over the last few hours. Milo stood there, looking to God's Bane, back to Illigith and Gnocchi, uneasy. A weapon. Huh. And I will leave it to the party. One thing to note, the war band is mobilizing. I just set the scene here. They're mobilizing. It just started, so no one has really taken any attention to y'all not moving forward yet, but that will change probably as time goes onward. You hear the sound of meese bellowing as they as they have been loaded up and are starting to move. These are not dire meese, but actual meese. Um, correcting a mistake I made 4 years ago. And the horn has been blown by Maliki, the Stormbreaker, to move forward on this third day of travel. I leave it to the party to who will break this stalemate.
All right. So, just to kind of give some visual cues to kind of, I guess, set the scene for us. I think the look that's on Omen's face, just kind of like how Mole had described it previously, it's not a guy who has a lot of emotions for the most part. And so this kind of angry, defensive, frustrated exchange is very, I don't know, it's very rare. And I don't think we have previously seen this side of Omen. And so, as he says, the last words that he had said to Nyoki was, if you, essentially something along the lines of, if you want to kill me, like I'm not going to hand over the sword to you. I'm willing to die. And I don't recommend that, I don't recommend that you try it, type of a thing. And as those words kind of come out of his mouth, and there's that very cold and silent tension there between us, you see a flash of kind of like there's this like kind of smoldering intensity between him and Nyoki. He'd kind of begun going back and forth with Illios, and then Nyoki kind of took over and kind of put in we had a little bits of like interchange. And so he's just very much intent on Nyoki. He's not taking an aggressive stance or anything. It's still more of a passive stance. But what you see kind of in that silence and that tension is after those words kind of come out, similar to like when maybe you've had an argument with your spouse or with someone you care about. You say something in the heat of the moment and there's that anger, and then it just kind of sits, and it's just that kind of tension that is still yet unaddressed. And he looks over to Illigeth just for a second, just like a quick flick of the eye. So Logan, I'm curious, what is the demeanor of Illigeth right now? Is he kind of angry, like what's going on with Illigeth?
So Illigeth is, as the DM said, flooded with emotions, kind of clouded by this deep wound that has yet to really scab over. Kind of so he wears all of his emotions on his face in this moment, based on the exchange that we had. Is that there's a clear divide between someone who sees life and people and weapons and things as tools or a means to an end or something that's utilitarian, and how Illigith sees the world as as individuals and as people, and the humanitarian side of things. And but what begins to turn in Illigith's mind in this moment is how much everyone has overcome to bring them to this moment. And his eyes, as he inhales sharply, flit to Nyoki and then back at Omen, and he closes them, and you can see very clearly the tears that were welled up, begin, kind of pursed to the side before they fall. And there's just a lot of conflict in this moment that is just really illustrative of someone who cares tremendously and is willing to stake his life on the principles that he believes in, but would give anything to overcome the greater conflict to save his friends. And so all of that is really encompassed in this moment. Before I act, does anyone have anything else to say? So Illios, in that few seconds that he had closed his eyes and the tears were pressed out of his eyes, he opens them. And as he does that, he takes a knee in front of Omen, setting his gargantuan shield down to the side. Yoki, listen to me. If we are to work together, then we must allow ourselves to trust one another. And then he turns his gaze to Omen. But understand this. I will not allow the hope that we carry to die. And I will give my life to sustain it. Do not let us down.
So as he sees Illios take a knee, the attention kind of shifts over to Illios, and just kind of seeing the courage and the humility, kind of in the attempt to de-escalate the moment, Omen kind of looks back to Gnocchi, and similar to when you feel angry and you feel that heat, in the throes of an argument that kind of clouds your judgment, upon hearing an appeal to reason and peace, Omen begins to look a little sheepishly down and kind of, tugs at his nose a little nervously. And he turns to Illios and he says, "Son of Kel, you speak the truth. We are on the same team. And if we are going to," and he looks back to Gnocchi, kind of making a throwback to the conversation that Gnocchi and him had the previous night about, what drove Gnocchi, and it was about righting wrongs. I know we all want the same thing. There is evil in this world there is things in this world that we must bring to justice, and we will not be able to accomplish that fighting each other. I owe you," and he kind of nods to Gnocchi, "and you," pointing back to Illios, "an apology. And his voice is kind of shaky, I have not felt anger such as this since my reawakening. I don't even know," and he kind of looks at Godsbane, "I don't even know why interacting with Godsbane has elicited such an emotional reaction in me. But it's something that you two, you three, even pointing to Milo, you who were born from a mother, I don't feel like you understand what it's like to be made as a tool for the purpose of being used by your master. God's Bane and I, we share that he's the only created being that I have encountered since I've reawoken. And when, yeah, I will be the first to admit he made some regrettable comments and even injured you. These things are not excusable. I do not want to throw them under the rug. Cosme needs to be accountable for that. But I do want to make my position known to you two so that way you understand where I'm coming from. Because if we're going to stand side by side, I need to trust you and you need to trust me. And I'm sorry for taking that trust so lightly in my anger. I am deeply ashamed of that, and it is unbecoming of me as a white lighter. So I apologize. Think about this. This blade, God's Bane, has been in the control of two people, right? This person we do not know, but the celestial who was the one who put him away for many, many years to slumber and to do nothing. And then his second master was Gareth Dalton, who is co-writing with Malice, and I can speak firsthand of the corrupting influence of Malice. He might mean well, but to your point, Illigith, he is very much an ends justify the means, and he doesn't care how much blood he sheds to accomplish that. This created being did what it was told to do, and it's been shaped and formed to feed that bloodlust. But in the same way that a blade in the hands of a surgeon can cut away diseased flesh so that healthy tissue can grow, or in the hands of a chef, it can be made to bring out the most flavor in a cut of meat. Yet, for God's Bane, he was in the hands of a maniacal and egomaniac murderer. And I can't imagine the pain it must have felt that this instrument that has brought you such pain, just by being here, and the fact that it can talk to you, and the fact that it doesn't even know how much Malvadrian meant to you and speaks of it so lightly. I understand where your anger, it's justifiable. I understand. And I'm sorry for not being, to your point, Illigith, more aware of the gravity of the situation. I felt as though this blade in many ways was me, for I too was a tool that was used by the gods. And when I was in the hands of a noble God, pursuing a noble pursuit, I did things that were righteous and good. When I was in the employ of gods who had less than stellar motives, I spilt the blood of man and deity alike. There are many mistakes that I have made. We don't have time to go into it now. I know that the war party is leaving. But as an act of good faith, I will return God's Bane. My one appeal, my one request, is that this blade, it has much intelligence regarding our common enemy and our common person of interest. And it also has possibly, we don't know if God's Bane is to Noki's point, we do not really know if it is telling the truth or if it's telling lies. Personally, I don't see what it would gain from the lies, but to be fair, we just don't know. I believe that instead of destroying it, if we could find a way, we can't study it here in the middle of the snowy field, But if we can find a way to understand the intelligence, or possibly whether it speaks the truth about your friend and ally, I don't just want to throw away this opportunity at the intelligence it might provide, the possible connection to your friend it might provide. And yes, I'll be honest, it is a powerful weapon, and we are fighting a powerful enemy. But son of Kel, my instructions given to me by the princess of the god Minty was to come and to support your mission. And so, as you very humbly presented this plea to me, I will return this Godsbane back to Gnocchi as a sign of good faith, that we may continue to work together. And I trust that cooler heads will prevail, and that we can find a common path that we can move forward together. But please consider my plea before we take any drastic measures with Godsbane. Is that fair?
Yoki.
Noki removes his hand from his pistol's hilt or his grip, and he once again moves it to, leaves his hand palm open, ready to receive the blade from you. You compare Godsbane to an instrument used by a chef for I don't know what it's called. The sharp thing a surgeon uses. But those masters are masters of their craft, and they control the blade in their very hand. Whereas Godsbane, you cannot control him. He takes and he takes. Look what he did to Illios this morning. You can't control the blade like a chef or a surgeon. That is where I come from. Yes, he is useful for our mission. I don't see any way of destroying him anyways. But we don't know enough about it now. And I think he's best used for intelligence, more so than a weapon.
This is fair.
Please don't give me to him.
So when we talk with Godsbane, it's just in our heads, right? We're not saying anything out loud.
Correct, and you are the only one that can hear him. I've already said how much I don't like him.
You see Noki would his head drops a little bit from looking up at you, a short gnome to human. We don't know much of Godsbane, but in the week we've known of it, he's caused pain 3 times, one for Malvadrian, once this morning from Illios' wound, and a second time, not a physical wound, but a mental one, a jab at Illios and his love for Malvadrian.
Go ahead.
Uh-huh.
I thought you were going to say something. Okay. I cannot defend the actions of Godsbane. I am not he or it. Don't think it's gendered, but
2024.
I agree with you, but again, I don't know if we know enough to say that Godsbane is irredeemable. Before I rewoke, I would say a tool is created and it cannot be changed, and it is as simple as that. But in the light of what happened right before my final moments, before I was sent into a slumber, we do not. And you can see that there's a lot of tension here. Like there really is two kind of competing ideologies that he kind of is, even in like his argument to you. Like on one hand, it's like no, like the purpose of the story, like it's agnostic, and then but then there's also like, well, but it kind of has a will and can be redeemed, and you can kind of see normally Omen is very logical and doesn't really kind of create this. To be honest, like it's kind of a weak argument, right? Like he's kind of flip flopping between these two, and you can just see like this like static, this like dissonance in his head as he's talking, and he doesn't even know exactly where he kind of falls on this issue. And he kind of stops talking for a second, and he says, "I believe, and I do not have data or facts to back this up. I only have my own personal experience. If we show God's pain a different way, I have to believe that there's something that can be redeemed in him. I do not know if this is true. I do not know if maybe this is because of the white lighter. Maybe I haven't changed. I don't know. But to just flat out say it's evil and it cannot change, I cannot accept it." And he kind of again gets a little agitated, and he kind of, "I apologies. I takes a deep breath. You bring up convincing and good points, Gnocchi. I do not know what the right thing to do with this, with God's pain. He does not want to go back to you, given the things that he's heard you say and the things that Illios has said. I do fear what might happen if, to your point, I do not know if he would go willingly or what's going to happen here. He kind of just looks and just tries to think. Is Milo close by at all, or are you kind of a little further away?
He's kind of been like, as y'all are speaking, he's like incredibly tense. Like imagine a rabbit on the verge of like leaping away. He's been incredibly tense just watching this whole interaction, and he's still present, but he definitely has like in occasional moments has like taken small steps back to kind of almost as though he's seeking cover for a bit. But yes, he's still here.
He kind of looks over to you, and he's very conflicted and just very kind of all over the place and erratic. And again, like you've never seen this side of Omen before. You can see that he is in a lot of just like even on his face, you can see like his jaw is clenched. He's kind of sweating a little bit, and he just doesn't really know what to do. And he just kind of, he's hearing God's bane in his ear, like, "Don't give me back to him, don't give me back to him." And Yoki, "Hey, give him back to him. We don't know if we can trust him." And it kind of just looks like he's just kind of, he's just kind of spinning out a little bit.
In Illios fashion, he reaches for Omen's shoulder gently, and if he'll allow it,
He doesn't. Yeah.
we are all tools of our own cause, Omen. Do what you believe is best, and we will trust you.
He kind of meets Illios, his gaze, like a lock in his. I don't know what color your eyes are. I always imagine them as light colored, but
I should know this.
whatever beautiful
They are blue.
pool of manhood it is.
Blue.
Blue.
Blue is the glacial runoff.
He's again, the tension on his face, and then it just kind of relaxes, and the vote of confidence, even though he himself is struggling with what he believes. He looks at you and he says, if at any point you think that I'm acting in bad faith or I'm losing my way, or if what Gnocchi said is true and Godsbane is a corrupting force, I want you, and he looks to all of you, but back to Illigith, to stop me by whatever means necessary. I trust your judgment. Will you allow me to hold on to the blade until we can figure out what is the best path forward with it?
Please.
I'm trying, Godsbane. I'm trying. Shut up. I'm making
And
this any
since
easier.
Illigus can't hear Godsbane,
Yeah.
he removes his hand.
Yeah.
And he places his arm across his chest with a thud. He's encouraging you to mimic him.
No. Yeah. Mm.
It will be as water under the bridge. Now, I believe we have larger things to tend to. As he makes a Goliath pun.
Noki still hasn't said anything, right?
Noki's hand is still out.
Milo takes it. Papa? I'm kidding.
It is as you say, son of Kel. Water on a bridge.
Can I ask a question?
That's not what
of
he
the
said,
DM?
Roman.
Based on the amount of time I've spent with Omen, what would I estimate the total of his HP to be?
HP?
What an odd question.
Over 50,
No current relevance.
over 50, under 100.
So
He hath spoken.
I'm gonna poke at Noki, and kind of like I'm gonna walk over to him. How tall is Noki? Is he tall for a gnome?
He's more dwarven size than gnomish size, so he's about a little over 4 foot, about 220. Very Noki shaped.
Very
He's gonna,
Noki
like,
shaped. Urn
tug-
size, some might say.
He's gonna
Go away.
tug. He's like, I guess, similar height to you, but he's gonna tug at your coat to get your attention, and kind of leans in to say something into your ear. He is gonna try to say this quietly, and he's essentially gonna whisper to him. He's gonna say, if it helps, I have magic he will be unable to withstand. It would only take one blow.
Ha!
Speaking Noki's language.
Gonna go.
I don't think a persuasion attempt is needed. I think this is pretty.
I don't know. It's just Emperor Palpatine. Do it.
I'm gonna go back to character creation.
No, Gnocchi, don't worry. I can do it.
You would see Noki's eyes kind of go a little bit wide at this child.
Milo's just trying to be useful.
You have to remember Noki's 120 something, almost 160 years old. Gnome. But he has no magic. He doesn't understand magic. He understands Anacalcum, kind of. Enough to make weapons out of it. But he doesn't understand magic, especially locked away shadow magic child here and created divine being magic in front of him.
Sorry.
I didn't hear anything you said. I still think that you are totally trustworthy.
Owen, you said good faith you would hand it over. And there's a time and place where we can get more information from this sword. But here, and the hand that he was holding up in front of you kind of gestures to the 30 Goliaths, leading us into a very unknown territory. I don't believe this is the time or place to become familiar with God's Bane.
No, I
And
agree.
I'm not saying he's evil forever, but you say he fears, leaving your possession. We all fear change, and especially those who've been stuck in their ways the longest. God's been forever, since his birth.
Is that a long time?
It is an understandable fear of his. I too of many fear change, but as I said, this is not the place to become familiar with God's bane, and if he can change or not.
I do not disagree with you, Nyoki. I am not advocating that we spend any more time investigating him. What I do suggest, given that I do share a kinship with this blade, I ask that you trust me as the son of Cal has trusted me. I'm not trained to use this weapon. I'm not going to use it in any combat scenarios. But similar to when the will of God's Bane and Illios clashed, and he kind of points to his palms, I do not want the same to happen to you. And so I ask that you trust me here. And again, I'm not saying I will never give you back the sword. I'm not trying to do a power move. Just in terms of logistics, in terms of I have an understanding with this sword, we share a kinship, we understand each other. I believe that I can help him, yet God's bane, find the path, a path that is right. And right now, he is very scared of going back into your possession. As we would have a scared animal, a caged, scared animal. Again, God, we all know how dangerous God's bane can be. We do not want to further inflame God's bane. And so, at least until we can gain, or at least rebuild the trust with God's bane and you, I humbly suggest that we keep God's bane attuned to me, move forward. I solemnly promise to never use him in combat. But in terms of moving forward on him, I agree with you. We have a mission that we must accomplish, and we should not allow God's bane to further distract us from that mission. What say you to this, Nyoki?
The attunement is the part that worries me. You say you understand him, yet you've only known him for 10 minutes. Just this morning, mere moments ago, you said you didn't know what kind of influence he had over your emotions, this rage you were feeling at the beginning of not handing him over, whether it came from God's bane or not. But you say you understand him, but then you don't understand yourself or your own emotions. How can you understand another?
Nyoki, I am afraid you've misunderstood me, and perhaps I have not spoken clearly. I view myself very closely with God's bane. I have a kinship with him as you who share a childhood, a birth mother, a birth father, you have a soul. God's bane and I, we do not have souls. We do not have a morality of good or evil. We have our master's will, and if we do our master's will, this is good. We're a good tool. We have achieved our purpose. If we do not do our master's will, we are useless. In this way, I understand the way that God's bane, whatever it is, however you could say the gender term, whatever. That God's Bane and we do share. I understand these things about God's Bane. It is from that when God's Bane, when the judgment came against God's Bane, I viewed it as an attack on me because of that kinship. In the same way that when someone harms Illigith, you have an anger towards that person, right? Even though they didn't harm you, I didn't say anything against you, but you had a anger response to come to the aid of a friend. I don't expect it to be easily understood. I understand it is very strange, but this is the same way that I view you. I cannot understand the complexities of your emotions, and empathy is beyond me. I ask that you trust me. I have given you permission that if you believe I'm acting in bad faith, that I'm sure you, and he points to Milo, are plenty of artillery and have enough firepower to take me out. So again, I do not want to spend too much longer on this, Gnocchi. I ask that you trust me.
I cannot trust you while you are under the influence of God's bane.
Can perhaps I um I can could not Illigith hold?
Points to the hand. I do not think that that is a good idea, Milo.
But to his point, can we not bind the item?
Bind?
Wrap it up.
I do not care to use God's bane. I do not care to attune to him. I care we get through this in front of us and we make it out alive.
I understand. Allow me, Milo, go ahead.
Doesn't an item you are connected to require proximity? Maybe if I don't think it'd be a good idea for me to connect in the way that you have, but I can hold it in my backpack, and maybe I can travel with Noki a little bit further ahead, and after I believe, I think it takes an hour, maybe two. The connection that he has should be broken, and we'll know if he's altering him.
Okay.
He could choose to break his attunement at any moment, just as I did when handing over to Illigith and Illigith did handing it to Omen.
This is a fair suggestion. Just allow me a moment to try to talk with Godspeed. I fear if we do not reach some sort of agreement with him, to your
Omen,
point.
we do not have the time. I wish that we did, but the camp is moving without us.
Allow me but a moment. I can walk and talk. And then I will, as soon as I will hand it over to you, Gnocchi. Okay, just give me a moment, putting it in the pack, putting it someplace safe, but allow me a chance to talk with Godsbane, created being to created being, because he does not trust. In the same way, Gnocchi, that you do not trust me, he does not trust you.
That is fine, but we are the party members here. We are the adventurers saving the world. That is a tool, sentient or not.
Careful, Gnocchi. I am also a tool.
Yes, but you've used your free will, if you will, that now that you have it and you've broken free from your master or whatever it is, to go down the path of righteousness, to help our cause. God's
Oh.
bane is not.
If only you knew how far I had fallen, you would not say such things to me.
Yes, but you have risen from your depths. God's bane soaks in it, glorifies it, seeks to dig further.
Okay, we are going in circles here. Just allow me a moment to talk to Godspain, and we can move forward. Okay, let's keep walking. It'll take no more than 5 minutes. Can you trust me for 5 minutes?
5 minutes. Not a second longer.
Then it is done. We must move.
Yeah, and just to give it's been mentioned, but just to like let y'all know what's going on around you. At this point, y'all been talking for about 10-15 minutes, like in actual game time, and the last remnants of the warband have been mobilized and are moving alongside them. There has been a group of Goliaths that have noticed y'all at this point, just standing there talking, and there are probably like 5 or so that have just stayed back. Firearms not pointed, of course, but at the ready, like they typically have, like when they've been marching and they've been looking at you. And you can see that on the way is Maliki the Stormbreaker on a moose.
Yeah, I would imagine that we probably follow after them, right? And now, Molly, we can have a little mental chat just real quick.
That's fine. So as soon as y'all start moving, and I mean y'all were given y'all's own like moose mounts, not like 4 of them, but 2 of them. I mean, 2 people can fit to a moose. Maybe Illios just can have 1, but the other 2 should be able to fit, or the 3 should be able to fit. Yeah. So if y'all start moving forward on those and making like y'all are going to leave, the best, you just hear, "What exactly is the holdup, Lionheart?"
I do not see a holdup here. As he mounts the moose.
Very cute with your words.
Almost as cute as you on that moose.
Better than a middle finger.
She would spit to the side. You hear the crack of the whip as the moose turns around.
But literally.
Yeah, right. So y'all are mobilizing just at towards the back of the warband. Got it. So, if the next thing we want to do is that conversation omen, we can do that right now as we're traveling forward.
Okay, Godspain. You can hear me. I know you're probably not very happy with me, but we find ourselves in quite the delicate situation here, my friend.
You say you were created like me, but you can talk. You're not alone if the bond were to break.
This is true. I do not know what it's like to be attuned to a partner in this way.
I remember very little of when I was locked away, but I never want to be locked away again. That I know.
I can understand why you would not want that.
Are you really not going to use me?
No, Godsbane. Not right now. I wish that you, as I have been trained, were trained a little bit in diplomacy. For you have certainly made a mess of things, Godsbane. You have seared the hands of the Lionheart. You have
That was
verbally
not my
jousted
fault.
with the Round One, and they do not trust me. I have tried to make every plea that I could make, but I'm afraid it was not enough. And so I will make you this vow. I will try to do what I can to find a way to make this situation right. But the mission that was been given to me, my own purpose, I cannot violate that mandate. And you attacking my allies has been very problematic for me, Godsbane.
They think I attacked him. I didn't.
Say that to the wounds on his hands, Godsbane.
It doesn't matter if I told them something bad would happen and that I would enjoy it, and I did. But I did not willingly cause those wounds.
I believe you, Godsbane, but they do not. You see, let this be a lesson to you, Godsbane. I truly want it to benefit you, so please learn. It is unwise to reveal your deepest desires to someone if you have not built up trust with them. Because again, to these men, you are their enemy. You started from a disadvantage. You pressed your desires so deeply that they can no longer see you as an ally. In the future, work to build trust first. And from then you can build to expressing your deepest desire. Perhaps things would have gone differently. But this is an expression that I think is coarse. You probably won't understand. Yeah, you're right. You won't understand it. I barely do.
Have I built up trust with you, Omen?
In a way, not really, but I understand where you're coming from. I have built up trust with these men. I do not understand you. I know how you are thinking about these things, but you have binded my hands together. Some may say bound, bond, bound. You gotta slip it in there somehow, you know.
It's not God's bane laughing maniacally.
I'm just
How great would that be?
I know. You're welcome.
So I should not tell you what I felt just now.
Don't teach the damn sword to lie. Anyways,
You can tell me, Godsbane, but I'm afraid we are out of options.
I missed Dalton.
I understand. He fed you. It is only natural for you to miss him.
I'm done talking for now.
Godspeed.
I don't know when you'll hear me next.
I do not know either, Godspeed. No, I am not your enemy. I do want the best for you, Godspeed, and I am not going to give up on you. However, in order to have a path forward and to not spill the blood of my own allies and the people who could actually help you, we must make a very difficult decision, Godspeed. I must make a difficult decision. The gnome will not allow me to be attuned to you. I'm pretty sure he would shoot me in the head. Like, almost guaranteed.
That would be bad. Actually, no, he wouldn't say anything. He said he was going to be silent, and he's silent.
Rewind the tape. Record over it.
All right. What was the last thing you said?
Yeah, I just said
Yeah.
I know.
So you break the attunement then?
I go ahead and I hand over the sword to Gnocchi, instructing him it's probably for the best if you put him in a pack, or I don't know exactly, but I would not try to. He's sulking. He's very sad. You do not want to see a sad blade. It is depressing. And he tries to like smirk as he was trying to make a joke, but seeing Gnocchi's like flat
On the core
face,
timing.
I'm sure he just sighs.
At least while you were locked away, you were unconscious.
Because I care for you, Godsbane, that I must discipline you for the actions that you have taken against these men. Know that I still want the best for you. I will do my best to do right by you. But for now, these are the conditions these are the consequences of your actions. I hope that you can learn from them and hear my words, that there is no malice, pun intended, in my words.
Okay.
He is silent.
Yeah, no, okay, I've just handed it over to you.
Massive cloak wraps around sword into pack.
Milo says,
Deep
so
in
when's
black.
it my turn?
Too soon.
When you've reached your 100th year, child.
I mean,
Awakened years.
I was about to say.
Gnocchi, hear me that I cannot in good conscience abandon Godsbane. I will do what I can to help rehabilitate him. I ask you for the chance to do this. Not now, we have a mission, I understand. But the plea that I gave to Kel, the agreement that we reached upon, the trust that he put in me, I hope that one day soon you would have that same trust. That this sword can be redeemed. But I trust you, and I'm entrusting this sword to you, though my heart is quite torn. Bless you, Milo.
Bless you, child.
Bless you, my boy.
Sweet
Illios,
dream.
come on.
you're on a bunch of weird men.
Illios, the paladin, the only one to not bless him. Ilmata
There's
really
no
is.
wasted spell slot.
Milo, seeing that the tension kind of has, for the moment, left. Kind of sees that Omen has given the sword. Everything's packed. Milo grabs his little backpack that has literally his whole life's belongings in there, and he climbs on the moose, and is ready and waiting for us to make movement.
Yoki.
Yes.
Illios would reach his hand down to invite you onto his moose.
You see Noki goes on his tippy toes, hands straight up like a child.
Like a sack of potatoes.
Do not pretend you can't lift me.
No, I just meant that he had to bend over so far. But that's funny too.
So are Milo and Omen on the same moose?
Milo gets on the or Omen gets on the moose. I don't know what Milo does.
Milo apparates away from the moose and decides to walk. I'm kidding. He would. How big is this moose? Is there room?
Moose sized.
Moose
It
size.
is-
Damn it, Logan.
Beat you to it.
Molly's out of practice.
Yeah, right. Not quick with it anymore.
Yeah, so I guess Milo and Omen would be on the same moose.
Yeah, I mean it's a rather large animal. Think of
It's
Mr.
literally a large
John's
animal.
truck or Jeep. Yeah, sure.
It's not quite so wide, but it's,
Oh, definitely not as wide, but
they're
a
massive.
large animal. All right, so
We didn't kill each other.
Unfortunate.
yep, no gunshot wounds. All the memes and jokes for the last 3 years, they all went to waste.
Dang
Yo.
Omen not dying on his hill.
Lives to see session 30.
Well, don't blame Illigoth.
Don't say that yet.
Avalanche comes.
An avalanche of thunder, one might say.
Hey! That's Thunugavan to you.
Don't worry, it'll happen eventually. What?
Now that nobody trusts Omen. It is a bad omen for Omen.
Well, I mean, as far as Omen's aware, Milo might trust him.
We've only known you for like 3 days.
You've known. Okay. You know what?
Inoki has technically known Omen the longest.
Yep. Ain't that a chestnut?
Noki knew Mal for a while too, and that didn't help.
True.
Too true.
But you did care about him. You just fought for him, in a way. You just wanted to be close to Malpatri, his soul in the sword. That's why you wanted it so bad, right?
If only we could replace Godsbane with Mal.
All right. Well. Tally ho, gentlemen.
let me just write that down. For future sessions, Gnocchi. I got you. I see you. Okay. So, unless there are any other conversations you'd like to have amongst each other.
Nope.
There you go.
You guys.
Yep, had to ask. Right. So the warband mobilizes. And now this is your third day of travel overall. You are 2 days out from Bleakstone. You are now out of the Dwarven territory. The roads that you were traveling on are now no longer there. They have stopped. And you are now traveling on open terrain, snowy terrain. What the picture I have up right here is, pretty descriptive of like where y'all are right now and the kind of terrain you're traveling. I'm going to go back to the one we all prefer. There we go. So, not exactly the easiest of journeys. One thing you notice as you pass into the territory, and actually, Omen, make me an intelligence check.
This should be fun. Oh, that's like a 22.
Okay, yeah, pretty good, I'd say. As you've been getting further out, Omen, your mind has been on other things, but you're pretty acutely aware of your surroundings and putting fact patterns together here. The farther you have been going out from Bleakstone, the vegetation that you have been seeing, the trees, perhaps animals wandering around, you're not seeing as much anymore, which might sit odd to you considering you were moving further away from civilization.
Could you remind us where we're traveling to and what our like express mission is, just really quickly?
You want me to go down the You want me to go down the list?
No, just like the final location and like just like the 1 to 2 sentence, like we're going to save the princess type of a thing, just so that we're.
Right. Well, you saved the princess just now. That was Illios, but
Was the sword
after that, you're right. It's the princess that is actually on Malvadrian's short sword that is on Illios' hip right now.
I hate you.
But where you're actually going, so the end goal here is to get to Dungarn Valley, which is where the unified Goliath tribes under the Blood Wolf are kind of coalescing to begin a greater war effort against the dwarves. The Goliath warband that you are currently traveling with was one of the first to go out and really test the might of these weapons that they now possess. Firearms. Gnocchi, I technically haven't said this yet, I don't think. The firearms, and you would know this, the firearms that the Goliaths are using, they pack more firepower than the ones that you're using, at least of the equivalent model, if that makes sense. So, like, bad news that you have, like, they're not as powerful as that, obviously, but, like, your musket, they are doing, like 2 damage die above that.
There's not 2 damage die above that.
I know.
Oh, unless they're doing d20s.
Well, is it a d10?
Yeah.
Okay. Then it would be doing 2d8.
It does 2d10.
Then it does 3.
Oh, yeah, we did make that. It's been 3 years, though. Give me some grief.
Absolutely not.
Right.
How dare you forget your own creations from 4 years ago?
You're right. Their musket does 3d10. How about that?
Thank you.
Dang it. Gnocchi.
Wow.
You just had to remind him.
Wow.
It's okay. I'm better with my musket than they are.
That's
Yeah,
also true.
True.
It's not how big it is, it's how you use it.
That's.
Keep telling yourself that, Gnocchi.
What does that mean?
Jesus.
Talk about self-inserting.
Ah!
All that
Where they
self-inspection.
get married.
Talked about this earlier. Oh Lord! But the self-inserting and just like seeing y'all's changing comments as the cutscene was going on, that was really cool to see.
If only the audience could know what we were just giggling about like school children, but they'll never know.
Yeah, because they'll never know because they don't have
Yeah.
the chat.
Yeah.
I
If
think
you go to
it's probably
public
better
chat.
for that.
Just think about what you would say sarcastically, and that's what we said.
Yeah. But yeah, the guns, to your eye, they have a higher misfire score. They do more damage. And they have the cannon that they have been lugging around, pulled by
that
two
giant
moves.
Did I miss something, or did? Okay, I'm sorry if I'm a horrible person. Where is the effing sword?
It's in Gnocchi's cape,
Okay.
you think?
Look in the spare
So I
clothes
saw it
and his
go.
backpack.
Okay.
Milo, the sword, you look down. It has magically appeared on your lap. Would you like to
He
hear
hands it over to Noki.
Would you like to
Hey.
hear Would you like to hear about my extended warranty on your soul?
I just want to know what happens next in the story. Is that so much to ask?
Yes. Yeah. So Yeah, you're going to Dungarn. Y'all have 5 days of travel once you get out of Dwarven territory, which you have, to actually get to Dungarn.
God, where are the
Yeah.
cars?
They're around you. They still make noises. They still smell. They're just furrier. And no smoke. Sorry about that. But yeah, so you embark on your journey there, and as I said, Omen, vegetation has been noticeably getting sparser as you continue to travel. And the first day of this travel, nothing particularly eventful happens. But when you all bed down for the evening and you do your typical, nightly routines, the weather has started to change slightly. Whereas before it has been a very light snowfall, it has noticeably been getting heavier as you continue. Temperature has also started to drop, so it has been getting colder. Illios might be like, "Oh, it's a bit chilly," but but everyone else, yeah, you need some heavy coats to really protect yourself against the chill as it keeps going, especially as the sun goes down. And you all bed down. What would the watch order be? And this is something we can use across the next few days, just to like we're gonna play this. Yeah, Illigus likes to go to bed early and rise early, so.
How about Milo? You want to take the first watch with?
Yes, Milo would take first watch. That's fine. I'm just checking to see because I have a feat. I'm seeing if it affects anything on watches.
I'll say
Okay.
First watch.
I am alert. It doesn't technically have an effect on a watch, though.
Oh, hey, guys, let's get a tiny hut. We'll right a wrong from the last session. I don't know if you remember, Julian, but you went off away under the canopy of a tree because I wouldn't cast Lehman's tiny hut. So let's right that wrong. Boom.
So, Omen,
Put your feet up in.
would you like to make the same intelligence check you made 3 years ago?
I guess. This seems like we may not be getting the tiny hut boys.
So the Goliaths are not familiar with magic in the slightest. At the very least, they have called, you remember Lieutenant Havoc, who was the one that y'all met and fought with and then later vouched for to Maliki after Illigith invoked the right of submission on him. Yeah. He said that Milo, or that they, like as a whole, that you all possess the old magics spoken of in myth and legend. And so that would be fresh in your mind. Not saying you can't do it. I'm just
okay
pointing out that you'd remember that.
Yeah. So that means that just to make sure that I'm understanding and thinking how I'm would be thinking, that if I was to cast this magic, they already know that we possess it. So they would just be confirmed that I can cast magic, or I'm trying to connect the dots, but I'm a stupid man. Omen is not.
You're good. I'm not trying to steer you one way or the other. I'm just reminding you that was a point that was mentioned.
So just to clarify, you're saying that it would be a big deal for Omen to cast a spell here for this, right?
It might be a big deal.
Understood. No tiny hut for you, dear lad, but soon
If
we'll
you
have to fight some of these savages.
if you want if you want omniscient DM answer, there would be an interaction. Yes.
I always want omniscient DMs.
I know. I could see the irritation on your face in previous sessions as we were going through, and I was giving half answers to everything.
What are you talking about? I don't get irritated ever. I'm definitely not an irritable person.
Me neither. All right, we'll take the first watch, hutless.
I do remember judging Wesley though for not having Leoman's tiny hut
Oh yeah.
because I was like, "You're a wizard. How do you not have it?"
Apparently, I was just smarter then, and I've gotten dumber. So
You're a wizard?
yeah, I think
I've outed you. I'm sorry.
I used to be. No, I'm just a tool.
He's a knowledge cleric.
Can we take our watch now?
Yeah. So y'all bed down. Y'all take the watch. And y'all can go ahead and give me normal perception checks. I don't know what would be an abnormal perception check, but
17 for Omen.
Okay.
For Milo, it'd be a. How do I? Oh, there it is. D&D Beyond rolls have never failed me before. 10.
You're right. They haven't failed you. It's at least a 10. So, Milo, you are slightly out of it, one might say.
No! What possible reason could I have for that?
Past your bedtime?
I do appreciate the new picture that you posted because Milo is a literal, young or at least adolescent child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just a baby.
With monstrous amounts of sorcerous dark magic.
Just like the sword.
Hey, don't out me. Don't out me.
So, Omen, one thing that you would notice with the 70 perception check, the Goliaths around you have been doing the same exact thing that they've been doing for the past few days. You've seen their routines. They take out these giant tents that they basically just set up. There's probably 3 or 4 tents in total. These things are large. They carry them with them. They take them up and down each day. And there is a Goliath, one that you recognize kind of on the outskirts of your camp. You would see the nasty looking scar going across his left eye that is now milky. And he looks like he is standing out there, staring at the camp. He's probably 20-ish feet away, and it looks like he's hesitating.
Receive any aggression or
No aggression on his face. It looks like he is staring towards Illios' tent.
I would just kind of nudge Milo and just kind of say, hey, there's a Goliath who is taking a look or looking very intently at Illios' tent. Doesn't seem like he's aggressive. I'm whispering. I should be whispering. Sorry.
Yeah.
And just keep an eye on him. I'm not sure if something's afoot.
Milo nods.
Yeah.
Only we have the tiny hut.
After standing there for a few minutes, just staring at Illios' tent as it crumples and then expands, crumples, expands. You would see the Goliath would leave.
Wait. Was he within 30 feet of me?
Yes, he was about 20 feet away.
Okay. Could I cast Detect Thoughts on this
Yes, you
guy?
could. So you would.
Yeah.
So surface thoughts, right?
Yeah, so it's surface thoughts. If I want to probe deeper, then I would have to make him do a wisdom saving throw. But just surface thoughts is fine for right now.
Do you understand giant
Hall.
No.
or Golkor? I think is the name of the language,
Should have thought about that.
or Golka.
No,
Yeah,
he doesn't.
yeah. You just hear some things in giant.
Does it
Well-
sound angry?
Well, wait. Detect thoughts also gives him a vibe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the vibe. Yoki. So the vibe you're getting is not concern. It's almost like you're getting a very strange, like he's looking at this tent and you just get the feeling that he thinks it's strange.
So like more like a curiosity or like confused.
Yeah, confused. That would be the word. The DM who is confused cannot think of confused.
I would share this with Milo and say, I've probed into the surface level thoughts, and he looks. I do not speak his language, but the general sense is that he's confused or just befuddled.
Yep. And you would see him walk away, and maybe about 10 minutes later, he would come back with what looks like a tent in his hands that he is just carrying, kind of like a tent kit. And he would drop it on the outskirts of the camp and walk away.
Like just the tent and it.
Just a tent, yes.
We should probably say something to him before he gets too far away, right?
Do you you know how to speak giant, or does he understand our language?
Hey!
Hey, you! What are you doing?
Wait, what? Did you actually just say that?
Yeah.
Like, was that actually what you did? Oh no!
So the Goliath would halt, and he'd turn around, and he would pick up the tent and begin walking closer to the camp, kind of keeping his eye on both of you as he does so. And you would hear he would point at Illios' tent. Tent! Small. And he'd point at the tent in his hand. Tent! Big. And he'd point at himself. And this is in common.
Oh. I kind of like mumble, like whisper, just cast whisper really quick. I think he wants to give Illigith a bigger tent.
Illios accepts the meme is dead.
Yes. Kind of too much
We'll
fun.
make sure it gets to him.
Yeah, he says, "You take." And he would,
Go ahead.
yeah, he'd turn around. It's like as he gets closer and like you see him, like this is Havoc.
Okay, Havoc, got it.
Yeah.
I will pass along your gift to the Lionheart.
Thank. Ooh. Thank ooh. And he walk away.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you want to like how far into our watch? Like, are we about to like shift over, or is it like we still got like, 2
This
hours?
happened about an hour into your watch.
Oh, okay.
But nothing really of note happens on the remainder of your watch. Yes, I want to have a conversation. Up to y'all though.
I don't speak to enemies. Just kidding.
Rip Omen.
The tension was not cut. It is in fact still there.
The tent, then?
Yes.
No, too soon. Yeah, just trying to get back into the good graces of everybody, but it's not working. They don't like puns.
I'm asleep.
Yep. No, sadly, Illigith is always last watch. So I do not think you will be able to hand this tent off to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, first watch ends. Second watch would be. I always like to do it in groups of. This is a decision I made last time, that the watches would always be in groups of 2, even though if it doesn't really make sense for the quote unquote long rest rules. But to just say on the. Sorry, yeah, the first watch would end. And second watch, third watch, nothing would really happen on those watches either. Depending on like when you got up, perception checks you did, y'all would be good. But one thing that would happen, Milo, as you go to sleep, for the majority of today, you have been
Tense.
You have been out of it. There has been a gnawing feeling at the back of your mind that maybe, just maybe, you are more like the sword than you think. And with those thoughts in your mind, as you go to sleep and you succumb to that darkness, you are cold. So very, very cold, and it only gets worse. And this feeling goes beyond the physical as warmth fades from your very soul. You feel almost empty. And you snap your eyes open and you rise in a panic from the snow. But this isn't the tundra of the Everfrost where you are. It's different. A heavier snow falls from an endless purple sky, so dark that it is almost black. Storm clouds rumble and roil, spanning an endless void, revolving around a mountain in the distance so vast that it seems to dwarf that endless sky. A familiar figure looks toward it, shrouded in darkness. Something brushes up against your leg, and you look down. The glassy eyes of a young boy stare back at you, his body partially covered by the snow. His face is contorted in agony, and no sound escapes him. But as you look down and all around, he is one of thousands at your feet. The shadowy figure turns to you, its eyes glowing faintly behind a veil of shadow. It speaks mournfully, its voice edged with a great pain that resonates with you more than you can really understand. Hello, 4571. And this voice sounds exactly like you. What do you do?
Before I respond, let me message you a quick question.
Go for it. Yeah, think that. Well, I would think that, Milo, but it still sounds exactly like you.
Okay.
Hello, 4571.
You again.
Us again.
Always.
I would ask if you remember, but we know that you don't. Thunder booms in the distance. Crack of black lightning.
Should I trust you?
It looks at you, those glowing eyes veiled, but it doesn't step closer to you, but the shadow seems to ebb at the words as it speaks. And you see, if you're looking around you, the mouths of these dead children at your feet move in unison with this shadow as it speaks. We are your grief, your helplessness, your loss, your suffering, your shame, your regret, your weakness, your fear, and most of all, your pain. But we are not your hatred. You clung to it so tightly that not even he could take it from you.
What happened to them? And he gestures to all the children.
To know is to accept more of your pain. They are lost. That is all that we can say now. Unless you wish to know more.
At that, that offer to know more, Milo, some sort of instinctive inner part of him, would view that almost as a not just like an offer to know more, but his mind kind of translates it to almost as though a threat of physical violence, as opposed to just unless you want to know more, and kind of on instinct. as though he were responding to a physical threat. Kind of this the boyishness for the moment kind of disappears from Milo's face, and just he ruthlessly you would see this thin line of darkness kind of instinctively go out to destroy whatever just made this threat against him.
Mm.
At that offer to, or the suggestion that he could know more.
Is this a spell?
It can be, I suppose. It's more of like a lashing out of just
Okay.
as though someone literally just threatened to hurt him. He's responding in kind.
Gotcha. So this shadow lashes out, this burst of magical power from you, and it passes straight through the shadow creature, and it looks no more worse for wear.
Imagine that. Shadows didn't hurt the shadow.
We are not your enemy. 4571. We are a part of you. As I have said before. But we are not your hatred. That is the one thing we are not.
Milo would just turn around and start walking in the other direction.
Hmm.
Should I take this to mean?
And he wouldn't say I.
Should we take this to mean that you are not ready?
He
The
would
pain-
How far away are you sleeping from Illios?
I mean, I guess we're all relatively close by, right?
Yes. Just throwing this out there. If there was ever a moment that you just needed a little bit of courage or anything like that,
The Lionheart
You got a
never
plus
preys
3!
on watch.
I guess I could roll for it. We're playing D&D.
I'm just saying.
Molly, I'm gonna roll a wisdom saving throw for. Actually, can we make it a charisma saving throw?
So is this
Considering-
to determine whether or not you face it?
Whether I face at least a portion of it, if not all of it, just something.
Yes. So, in fact, if you had told me that you were going to do that, I would have called for a charisma saving throw.
Oh, okay.
And if you are in a 30-foot vicinity of our Lionheart here,
Right.
you receive a bonus to this check.
What's the bonus?
Or save, rather.
It's a +3 to your saves against charming or being frightened or
Okay.
feared or afraid.
All right. Well, that's an 18.
Okay. As you open your mind, even just the smallest bit, to this entity before you, your mind cries out in abject abject horror, agony, and pain, and the silent faces that have been silent up to this point, speaking in unison with this thing, their voices all become heard. And they scream. And they scream so loudly that this realm that you are in begins to shake beneath their pain and your pain. We are sorry, 4571. We were meant to give you a chance. It was his wish. He did not wish for this pain upon you. I am sorry. And after he says that he is sorry, an inhuman roar erupts from the roiling clouds, alongside all these thousands of screams, shaking the very void. And a dark legion begins to descend from the clouds, hovering above the mountain, led by a figure with bloody eyes that glow with hate. The shadowy version of you, this entity, begins to tremble, and it holds its head in its hands. No, not again.
Milo's gonna reach and grab the amulet underneath his cloak that he's been hiding, because he doesn't want Omen to keep asking questions about it.
Did you include that amulet's bonus to saves?
I did not.
And the War Cleric bracers bonus to saves?
Nope.
They're both +1.
Okay.
So you rolled an 18?
Yeah, so it would have been a 20.
So it would have been a 20. And tell me again what you did just now.
He kind of, well, he would have just instinctively reached and grabbed the amulet. And he sees this entity creature kind of, in a sense, trembling, says not again, recognizes the fear, very familiar with fear, and kind of he thinks to how the people he has been around for a short time react to fear, or how they kind of hold themselves and what they would do in the situation. And he kind of, holding the amulet, would step in front of the shadow, standing against the roiling legions coming down from the sky.
You feel a warmth come from this amulet. A warmth very familiar to you. And as the Legion reaches you and you see as the one at their head, you know it to be Kronos. As chains erupt from his shadowy being and move straight towards you to encircle you. And as they touch you, you feel that warmth one more time. As the wagon continued, you didn't know where you were, but it was cold. The ride was bumpy. The outside was blocked by a curtain, letting through only a small amount of light. Everyone was tied up, and you could barely move. You see their faces, their fearful faces amidst the darkness. Their names came to you all at once. Johnny, Stitches, Abby, Griff, Leah, Hatter, Edric. They were the closest to you, but many more looked to you to lead, and they were scared and they cried. Where was Pops? They needed to know that everything was all right, that you would get them out of this. And you always had a plan no matter what. Even before they had met Pops, they said. You thought it was unfair. You were only 12, and you weren't even the oldest, and you were scared too. But you couldn't be. You had to be strong for them. Always for them. You smiled through the terror and told them everything would be fine, that you had gotten out of worse before, that you would protect them. They calmed down. They trusted you after all. What a liar you were. Eventually the wagon came to a stop. Voices could be heard, most low and gruff, speaking a very harsh language, but one was higher and older. Frantic. It sounded familiar, but it couldn't be. You cried out, but nobody came to help. You calmed down Leah and Stitches, who had begun to cry again, and you told them it would be all right. The wagon started moving, stopping, then moving, until it stopped for good. The curtain was lifted. You were in a city, but it was made of stone. Snow settled everywhere, and you could see in the distance a wall so tall it dwarfed everything in sight, only second to the mountain behind it. It was incredible, but your gaze lingered on a single person. It was Pops, and he was talking to the dwarves. He had found us, you were sure, and he would save everyone. The dwarves nodded and handed him a bag of coin. His old eyes greeted yours, and ashamed, he walked away. He left you there. He left all of you there. Why, Pops, you thought? Why would you do this? Didn't you love us? You trembled, but you did not cry. Everyone else cried, but you had to be strong. For them. Always for them. You glared at the dwarves as the curtain was lowered once more over the wagon. It started moving again. You reassured everyone, but Leah and Stitches still cried. You moved your way over, but couldn't embrace them. The rope wouldn't let you. Time passed, and your fear turned to anger. Why was this happening to us? What did we do wrong? Why, Pops? Why? The wagon stopped once more, and the curtain was lifted. You were in front of a small building, and it looked like a church? You screamed at the dwarves around you, telling them to let you go. Most laughed. They grabbed everyone and hauled them into the building. A blindfold was placed around you, and as hands grasped around your wrist, they cried out as they went back. The harsh voices continued. Were they in pain? Were they burning? You were struck in the back of the head, and you could hear everyone crying. But even through this pain in the situation, you did not cry because you couldn't. And you told them it would be all right. You cried out, resisting every step of the way. And eventually you were struck again, and the world went black. You awoke. Your vision was hazy and you couldn't move. You could hear screams of pain, crying for it all to stop, and panic enveloped you. Was it them? Did you fail them? You were supposed to protect them. You tried to look, but you were strapped down to a chair, even your forehead. You struggled against the restraints, but it was no use. Someone else was there amidst the screams. A dwarf wearing ornate armor was studying you, his dark eyes intense, and they bore right through you, right into your soul, and he terrified you, because there was something behind those eyes, something wrong and terrible. You struggled and began to cry, but you stifled it. Johnny, Stitches, Abby, Griff, Leah, Hatter, Edric, any one of them could be around you and watching. You didn't know, so you couldn't cry. You had to be strong for them. always for them. Words died in your throat, but you stared at the dwarf defiantly despite your terror. The dwarf raised an eyebrow in surprise and then smiled. Those eyes, the screams. I knew there was something different about you as soon as they brought you before me. But what is it that drives your will, child? Only one thing was important, one thing that rose above all the fear you felt. Your family. You asked if they were all right. The dwarf looked thoughtful, his gaze never leaving your trembling but defiant form. Were you glowing? If you are speaking of those that arrived with you, they are in my possession. They have not yet been harmed, and they will not be, as long as you cooperate with me. You asked the dwarf to show you. You weren't that naive. You wouldn't believe only his word. He looked amused. After a time, your family arrived. Their ears were covered so they wouldn't hear the screams. You were adamant about that fact. They saw you and were scared, and you were scared too, but they were alive. You hadn't failed them. You gave them your best smile. The dwarf looked at them as you did, and you didn't like him looking at them, not with those monstrous eyes of his. He waved his servants to take your family away, turning back to you. I will allow you to visit them at the end of each week, and they will not be harmed, as long as you cooperate with my researchers. Do we have a deal? You were scared, you were terrified, and you could still hear the distant screams of pain, but they had to be safe. You were their leader, the one they looked towards, and you had to be strong. For them, always for them. You nodded, not knowing what awaited you, and the dwarf smiled. Then we will now begin, and there is no time to waste. He pulled out a small vial of black liquid, bringing it over to you. Other dwarves came to your chair, tightening your restraints to the point of pain. He uncorked the vial. You should know that what you're about to experience is for the good of all Illios, child. You were one of thousands, but you are special. And I have high hopes for you. He held the vial to your lips. In case you perish like the rest, know that Durgan Greyheart was the one who sent you before our god. Try not to disappoint me, 4571. You trembled at his words, but were determined, even as the black liquid seared your throat. You would save them no matter what happened to you. Even as your veins turned black, you would be strong. Even as your blood turned to liquid fire, you would be strong. Even as you started to convulse uncontrollably, foaming at the mouth, you would be strong. Even as agony became your only truth, you would be strong. For them. Always for them. It was then you first heard it, the call of something greater. A voice beyond your feeble comprehension. A song so beautiful that threatened to shatter your mind into 1,000 pieces. This song was more beautiful than anything you had ever heard, and as it began to grow in strength, your memory ends. 4571. You're awake now, Milo, in your tent.
He tentatively is going to kind of look in his peripheral usually he looks out of caution and fear, but this time he looks to see if instead of caution and fear, kind of almost as though like a presence that is always there. He's just looking to see if it's here currently.
What time is it?
At this point, it would be 5:30 in the morning.
Does he see anything, Molly?
The presence?
Yeah.
At this moment, he does not. But you feel something with you. And it's up to you to decide how you feel about that. It feels stronger than before, more present than it was before, but not quite tangible.
Still kind of processing, I guess, the
memory.
The memory and everything that he remembers. He is gonna kind of sit down for a little bit. I guess he's still seated. He's still in this tent, but he's just gonna sit in it for a bit, and kind of like a kid or a person patting a dog. Kind of, he would send that sensation of just. He has a little bit more of an understanding now of what it might be, and he's just gonna kind of sit and think about everything.
It's about that time that a really loud thud and clang clang is heard not far from Milo's tent, and you hear, "Oh, you naughty goat!" As it sounds like Illios stumped his toe on all of the tent material that was left outside of his tent. Can anyone explain who left this here?
Milo accidentally cast Disintegrate in his sleep, getting Omen. Milo's going to take a deep breath, and rather than being like terrified of the presence that he normally feels, kind of just at least he's gonna just take a deep breath, gather his things, and step outside, ready to make an attempt to answer Illiget's lively questions. And he just steps outside and says, it was left by, what was the name, Molly?
As Havoc.
By Havoc. That way you can have a tent that's more your size.
Hi. Good morning, dark child. Thank you for explanation. I will have to remember to shake his hand soon.
Would probably be good, though he did seem kind of nervous dropping it off.
It's old for Goliath. Illios is just kind of like lost in his thoughts as he's like moving around, breaking down his tent or something, or putting something together.
Yeah. Milo's going to start kind of doing the same as he assumes the camp kind of slowly begins to get moving.
Do you look like different or anything? Do you look like you're not like glowing or anything?
Molly, do I have any physical effects?
Yes, you have a second horn.
Ah, shit, Molly.
So it's like in the middle of his thoughts as he's just like, like going about his. And he's like hunched over, picking something up, and he stops, and he kind of turns around towards Milo,
a teeny tiny one.
and you just kind of see his like gaze meets yours. Have you gotten taller?
Do I notice at this point?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Your head feels slightly heavier.
Ouch.
Yeah, so he's gonna
some neck pain.
he's are they bigger too?
Slightly, yes.
Ah, damn it, Molly. Okay. He's gonna say, "Oh, I guess so." Huh.
It is strange. Do you grow often? It's clear to you he's not recognized that there's another horn. He's just like, something is different.
Damn it, guys.
I just looked at Anyway.
It happens to everyone.
Illios goes back to doing what he's doing.
Yeah, Milo's gonna finish packing up his tent and just kind of picking up camp. And yeah, he's not gonna talk about it. As in, like, he's the horn. There's no. He's not entirely certain why it would have grown, or well, I guess he has an inkling of maybe what caused it, but he's not sure why it caused it.
Illios is chipper and seems to not care that other people are still sleeping as he begins to sing. Gold go down mountain into valley green.
You hear Gnocchi groan from his tent.
Noki swings open the tent flap. He's in his breeches, gun belt, the only thing up. Did you say breakfast?
I think breakfast be great idea, Gnocchi.
He walks out in breeches and a gun belt, 2 pistols at his sides, and sits by the fire and starts to cook breakfast.
So it's at this point, Omen, you probably wake up too. Illios is quite loud.
He wakes up silently.
We get to breakfast sooner.
He's gonna. Milo's wearing his hood kind of low to the. He's just has it pulled over. It looks taller than it was before, but he's just picking up camp. He's actually going to walk around the perimeter. He wants to make sure to see if anyone else. He trusts everyone on their watch, but he does want. He wants to trust but verify that nothing was missed. No, there are no tracks showing that someone came up to meddle or check in.
We didn't have a second watch last night.
I thought
Yeah, it just got rotated through. Like nothing happened. Just fast forwarded through it.
Yeah, just because nothing would have.
we did, Noki.
We did. Yeah, we had like 2 or 3. We just went through it for the sake of time.
Yeah. And trust but verify, just like with Godsbane.
Nope, we didn't do either one of those things. So no trust, didn't verify anything.
And
We
I had
verified
almost
evil.
forgotten.
Very much just pushing it out of the way like it didn't happen.
That's exactly how you deal with problems in life,
That's
lads.
what yeah, exactly.
Like true men with their emotions.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
I thought
I'm
you were
in
going to
favor.
just say all the characters in the Illios campaign, but we could broaden it.
Oh, very much so.
Tried to get in touch with his emotions. Rodina's friend.
Milo will actually seek out Omen at some point.
I'm here for you, child.
Give me 10 seconds, please.
Sounds like a dog.
You'll
Is trying
need
to kill
to-
us.
Should we just take like a 2-minute break?
That sounds good.
I'm okay with that.
I just want to refill my drink
I need to pee. So
and that.
I want a snack.
Sorry,
All right.
had to release the hounds.
Okay,
All right,
we have
Decided to take a break.
yeah
2-minute break.
That's
2
fine.
minutes. All right, bye.
2 minutes. All right.
Hello there. Hello there.
These headphones. This
Glorious.
faux. I love these headphones, but the faux like leather,
Yeah, like rubs off.
so old. It's just like
Yeah. No, for sure.
boy, that was intense, huh?
I know, dude. We didn't die. No combat. We probably should have fought because I mean, when's the next time we're gonna fight? You know?
I really thought Molly was gonna pull some crap. Like, first watch, you die.
I was like, after the intro, I thought he was gonna have Raymond just kind of like just waltz into this like and be like,
Oh
"Guys,
yeah, me too.
guys, what's going on? Why are mom and dad fighting?" Yeah.
Yeah, I totally thought Raymond was gonna like show up and pull some crap. Not gonna lie.
Oh.
But then he didn't.
Yeah. What was your snack?
The kid's got like this, oh jeez, popcorn balls or something.
That's cool.
Nah, it's a little much for them. So we ate like 98% of their Halloween candy anyway. So pretty steep tax around here.
Hey, it's not a democracy. It's not a republic.
No, and it never will be.
I'm back. I'm back.
Greetings.
Nice.
Man, that was pretty traumatic.
What are you talking about?
Well,
That's a Tuesday.
Yeah, I gotta say,
yes.
dang.
That's what
For
happens
sure.
when you give Molly free reign.
And
Okay.
4 years.
Something about never trust a dwarf.
Dwarves are just evil gnomes.
Yeah, Dogrum. Oh.
Totally waiting for this scouting party to be discovered, and then to be disappointed in them.
I'm just
What?
waiting for them to discover Omen's dead body. What happened to Omen?
It's just disintegrated.
Who put
Right.
these ashes in Omen's tent?
All right, go find Omen. Oh wait, is everyone back?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. You find him.
Cool. So,
Good morning.
good morning. Sharing a bowl of cereal.
That's good role playing right there. Omen, true to his character, eats nothing because he's created. He doesn't need calories.
He's the one person that when he said, "God, may this be 0 calories,"
Yeah,
the prayer came true.
This is one of the memories that Milo, I think, always remembered. But he is going to. I know Omen was asking earlier, and so he is gonna. Before he asked him about, hey, can you check out these horns? Make sure I'm not dying. He wants to also he wants to throw out there like I can I remember what he looked like if you want me to describe him to you. And he pulls out the amulet.
And you said that you do look kind of like different, right? Like normally you're a little bit more reserved, and today you're a little bit more like peppy or confident or
He's
like
reserved still. He's pretty reserved. He's just
okay.
it is a change for him to even approach though. Usually he waits to be approached.
Mhm. Yeah. Basically, Omen kind of studies and tries to see. I don't know if maybe Mullet's like an arcana or just like an investigation or something, but just is trying to put the pieces together based on like the amulet, the horns, the general demeanor. Like he can tell that something has happened, but he's just trying to like kind of put the pieces together. So is there a role that would make sense here, or
Say Arcana.
okay? Let's give it a shot. Oh, Bushak, I like 24.
Just like Owen, you trust him to try to give him a little bit of information, and he tries to take a mile.
Yep, that's the way. I learned well.
All right. So the specific question is just how this all links together, his amulet and his transformation. Or
Yeah,
like
just like the horn, just kind of the, is there a significance of like the two horns? Am I like what's going on there? Like getting bigger, like just trying to like go through like the receptacle of knowledge, and then is there any connection to the white lighters? He hasn't told me anything about Kronos yet. I was just, if there is anything, I was just fishing for a connection.
Yeah. So based on what has happened and even just the general observation of like Milo being different, the second horn is there. This amulet, very much to you with context clues. Now, it is acting as a suppressant of sorts.
Mm.
Keeping something within Milo in check or suppressed.
And I'm curious, since his dream, because I think he's shown it to me before, because I was able to tell him like, oh, that's the symbol of the white lighters.
Mhm.
Based on that time that I saw it, does it look any different now? Like, is it like a little crack? Is it or look exactly the same? Or
I would say it looks. I would say it looks the same.
okay,
It is not visibly changed.
yeah. And so, just kind of based off that information, Omen would say, you do look different today. And now that you mention it, given your circumstances, it appears that amulet that you have there is in some way suppressing something within you, or almost like a limiter, like protecting you from running too hot or too cold. Like it's keeping you in more suppressed safe zone. I don't know from what. I can't really tell. But yeah, so that's interesting. Did something happen to you since I went to sleep?
So you don't want to know what he looked like.
Oh yes, you did say that. Yes, my apologies. What did he look like?
Molly, what did he look like?
Are you speaking of the shadow entity or
Nope.
the dwarf?
Person who, so Omen wanted to know who gave me the amulet, I think at some point.
So in the very first vision you got?
Yeah, and so I was pretty close-lipped about describing him, I think, right?
Yes.
So I'm just offering to give him a description now.
Got it. Yeah. So in that vision, the man you had seen was a man. Looked like a human man, maybe a little bit bigger. He had on a white like loosely flowing white cloak, and he was glowing very, very brightly. You felt warmth emanate from him, the same warmth that you felt from around the amulet and the vision that you had. When he turns to look at you in the vision, his eyes were a deep golden color. To describe it, almost like you're sitting next to a hearth and you look into the fire, and just the yellowest, most golden part of that flame, like that is what his eyes looked like.
So would that
Okay.
mean? Yeah. Does that sound like any of like the deities or the other white lighters, or even some of the corrupted white lighters that I would have associated with in the past, or is that not ring any bells for me?
It would look like Kel.
This is deeply troubling. So, he points to Illigith, the deity the Lionheart serves. The description that you gave sounds a lot like him, and I think you've told me a little bit about like the guy who gave you this. Like, I don't know if you've told me about his relationship with you, right? It's just kind of bare bones. I don't know a whole lot, if I remember correctly.
Correct. I think so.
Yeah. So he would just say, I wonder if maybe it's the same. They have the same features. I don't know if it's the same person, but that's interesting. It might be worth talking to Illigith about. I know he's had close encounters with, who I know as Kel, but he knows as Ilmater. That's interesting. But I wonder why there'd be he'd give you an amulet that would suppress your powers.
It would also be apparent that something else besides his power was being suppressed.
Like,
namely the memories.
oh. And it's also even more interesting that it would be suppressing your memories. See, I've dealt a little bit with memory manipulation. It's very sneaky, very subtle, devastating, but very effective in terms of espionage and, frankly, using tools. So this is someone was either trying to manipulate you or make you remember certain things, but not that. But in my experience, maybe there's a more kinder reason, but it's typically I would use that tactic on someone that I felt as like an informant or a chess piece.
Milo's eyes are just getting wider and wider as Omen is essentially insinuating that he might be a sleeper agent.
And kind of recognizing that like he doesn't feel like fear or like empathy, and as he sees you like showing like the physiological signs on your face of like being uncomfortable, he's like, oh, it's probably not that though. No, he has to like he remembers Illigith tapping his shoulder and like the warmth of that gesture, so he very mechanically like goes to extend, but like kind of like his knuckles like hit the top of your shoulder and just kind of miscalculates. And he's like, it is he's like thinking, what does Illigith say? Should I call him a little goat? No, that doesn't sound right.
Sorry.
Sport he wouldn't say that. He would say, I'm sure there is a reason. Maybe, and he doesn't. He was gonna go tell Illigith, but then like you came to him in confidence. So again, he's just like, do you want to? Do you want to figure out more, or am I'm overwhelming you? I'm sorry.
I'll go let Illios know since
That would be best. He sighs. 0 for 2 these past 2 days. 0 for 2.
So before this gets away from me, everyone take a point of inspiration for the awesome roleplay at the beginning of the session. And also, Milo, take a point of inspiration specifically for standing in front of the shadowy figure. Like when the Legion was coming down, that was awesome. And Omen, take another point of inspiration for the awkwardness that just happened. Really
for
playing.
being Wesley.
The most Wesley thing you could award. Hey, socially awkward and failed that encounter, made everyone uncomfortable. My God, boy, you got it. You nailed it.
Yeah. So what made it funnier for me was I was literally typing out like a baby goat when you said that, and so I stopped typing and just laughed.
I'll kind of walk over with you unless you indicate.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'll walk over with you. If I'm assuming Noki's going to be around as well, but he's going to kind of go to Illios and he's going to open with Omen says, "I met your god."
Maybe, kind of. He shares the characteristics, the physical characteristics, but it doesn't seem like he has the purest of intentions. With he's like, I did it again, made them uncomfortable. It's okay. It doesn't seem that it would be in the same kindness as the Kel I know and the one you serve.
I'm sorry. I guess I can give you more information. He wasn't. I remember him saving me. I think.
Perhaps you could explain why this is being talked about.
The amulet that he wears suppresses his powers, but it also suppresses some memories. So I was just telling him, in my
This is going way
experience,
out of the depth that Milo was anticipating. He was just like, I'm gonna cut Omen give him a break, give him the information he wanted earlier, and this has gone way out of proportion. I'm just like,
we need an adult.
I just was letting him. He asked about it before, who gave me the amulet, and so I told him who gave me the amulet, and then he said that the description matches, Kel.
Il Mater. So the symbol is the symbol of the White Lighters, who were kind of like the agents of the gods, just to refresh your memory. But yes.
And when exactly did you meet, as you say, Kel?
Mole.
Like the glimpse. So there are two things, right? So like the glimpse that you would remember is that face is the one you remember from right before you were sealed away, and that vision. Not the first memory you just experienced, but the vision you experienced upon passing out for that first time underneath the shrine to Moradin, where y'all were fighting those abominations in like session 23 or so.
I mean, 5 years ago.
I remember his face just before I was Locked, closed, sealed, I guess. Sealed away, and I remember, and I saw him when I passed out that first time.
Well,
We wanted Illios to be the
I
adult. We've thrown
would
him into.
imagine that this is good thing. I do not see problem.
Well, the suppressing of his memories and powers just, I don't know.
I think he did it to help.
You can see he thinks, he's like, oh, I didn't think about that. That is a logical thing that someone could do. He's like, oh yeah. Because he's just, used to manipulating people and like using them as tools. And you guys saw the previous 2 hours, so you understand.
How you doing, Yoki?
Just stirring the breakfast stew.
They're in the
Illios
pot.
paused like the final steps of cooking breakfast for this, and Noki's just waiting for him for the food to be finished.
It's been too long since Gnocchi shot something.
Anyways, I was just telling Omen because he had asked before. If you're asking, if you're, I don't think he was a bad person. I think he knew that I wouldn't be able. It might be better for me not to have remembered everything.
This is a fair point. I did not consider that.
Yes, altruism. Foreign to Omen.
I knew that I knew that we had more in common, Dark Child. And after all, I did not expect an encounter with the glory that is Ilmater from you. And I thank you.
Is there anything behind what Illios is saying right now? Can I roll an insight? Oh no, there never is. Never mind.
There's a bold deception in
Yes,
that.
as Illios said in a previous session, I am like book. Open.
In common. And then translated to in every language. Also, I grew horns. I don't know where they came from. I don't know why they grew, but they're there now. And I kind of take off the hood, and then I kind of go off and take my tent and my stuff.
Ah, yes,
That's the
like
least
baby
strange thing
goat.
about this day.
Oh my goodness! Did you just say like baby goat?
Mr.
thing. The thing. He said the thing.
Illios is laughing.
Milo grumbles and realizes, yes, like a baby goat.
Oh, lovely. All right. So, this second day.
We're attacked by saber-toothed lions. I'm kidding.
Right. So, this second day of travel, on the way to Dungarn. I'd like everyone to give me perception checks.
No.
All right. Gnocchi, I'd like you to give me perception check.
I can't see past Illios on the moose.
No, you have your goggles on. You can see through them. It's fine.
Come on, for the DM. Do it for the DM.
You feel something scratch on your back, and you realize Gnocchi's looking through the hole in your chest to get a view.
Oh, God, no. That is not happening. You do not
Noki
see a
sneaks
hole in my
piece of
chest
glass in there
through my
before
glorious
Plate
plate
armor.
armor.
He's looking for cracks. Does his perception check rely on sight?
I sure hope it does.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so Oba got a 6. Did you roll, Gnocchi?
My first crit in 4 years. It's a 28.
A
Thank you, advantage.
Yeah. All right. So, as you are traveling, Gnocchi, I would say that everything that has happened in the past few days, you have been more on high alert than you perhaps ever have before. And now with these goggles to aid you, you see in the distance behind you, and this is probably about a mile away with your goggles. You see a large, and I'll preface this. As the days have gone on, the snowfall has gotten heavier and the wind has whipped more and more. And so, Gnocchi, you were probably the only one with these goggles that probably would have been able to see this. But you see through the wind and through the snow a very, very large creature. This creature is humanoid. You can see with your goggles the details of its blue skin, almost turning dark purple in some places, with heavy, heavy furs, covered in heavy furs. And you can see its eyes just staring intently forward at the warband. This creature, let me look something up real quick. This creature is about 25 feet tall. And without the goggles, with the wind and the snow, you would not have been able to see this thing. But it is trudging along behind the warband, about a mile out.
Sounds like the perfect task for the dwarven rangers to assist with and take care of while we're busy.
Yeah.
They got this.
Cutscene.
There's 13 of them. And a Raymond.
You idiot, why is the Liberty Hammer not loaded? Ilya told me it was a symbol! A symbol!
Throws the Liberty Hammer at the giant Etten.
Did you leave a sending stone with Dolgrim?
Oh,
Yes.
Just say
Yes.
you went back and listened to all this action.
Yes, we did.
I
I mean, I could
wow, he
also
left.
just
Wow.
cast sending to him if we didn't. So
Oh, to Dalton and Raylock cast ending.
yeah, hopefully we don't get intercepted. You know,
Yikes.
Hey, you weren't intercepted.
yeah.
Yeah, so we'll just say you have a sending stone with Dolgrim, just so you can keep in contact with him.
Not to raise any alarm, Ilgith, but a creature that looks much like you is following us. But furry. And it looks angry.
Could I roll ice mountain nature at advantage?
What a strange ability. I'm not sure it exists.
It does now.
You can give me a nature or history.
That's what he
whichever
asked
you
Okay,
for.
well, whatever it is, if I don't have advantage, I don't know what the crap it is.
I'll give you advantage because you're a giant.
Something about
Ken.
gears not turning. Nope, it was worse.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't get much worse than like a 3. What can I say? I know what I know. A large creature, you say, Gnocchi?
Yes.
Should we make our lady war chief aware of the situation?
Yeah, no, it should be noted that you see this thing probably at like 4 p.m. ish, like during the travel day. So in the last few hours of travel, because the sun sets at like 6.
It's
Well,
late.
If we let them know, then they ruined all of our fun.
Is true. We will make camp on other side.
Genius.
Are we gonna?
I agree.
Shouldn't we? Isn't that where our friends are? Shouldn't we go kill it?
They're hiding. And
Raymond! Very sneaky.
as it's attacking the war camp, we will save the day.
Interesting strategy.
This is why I'm the leader.
Looks to Illios, looks to Gnocchi. Right.
He is the one who has been with the party, I guess, the longest.
References morning conversation about magic and horns. Looking for an adult.
I think we need. I don't want to let people die.
No. Exactly. We come in and save the day before they die.
No, but what if that thing finds the people that we know that's behind us?
Then we will kill them. How do we do that?
With the stone, you keep it in your left pocket.
Well, at the very least, shouldn't we at least
I cannot throw that far.
looks to Milo and just kind of like I'm done arguing. Like I'm just like whatever.
Illigus, you must send the stone, not throw it.
I mean, I guess I could try. He starts to like move his shoulder.
Someone stop him that knows what this thing is, because Milo does not.
Perhaps if you use this as a slingshot for leverage.
You always have best idea, Gnocchi.
Omen, I need you to be the straight man.
I'm gonna say nothing. No. Absolutely.
Wait,
not.
I
I'm done.
think I remember that. You speak into it.
Dying Hills. No one understands. Let him. Let him see. I want to know what happens. Give me some
Intellect 8 for the win.
Yeah. Sometimes you just let the fire keep burning because you wonder what it'll do.
It's been pushed too far, you know? And you're just like, yeah.
Okay, if we have no way of telling them that I'm going to go help them.
We have the stone.
And how does he use it?
He speaks into it.
Oh, okay.
Sends message. Like I said, you send it, not throw it.
Speak into it, Illigan.
Wait, what? What I missed?
No, he just said that you speak into it.
Me?
Yeah. One of us speaks into it, and it talks to them.
Yeah.
I mean, do we even know if this thing's a threat or not, or are we just assuming it is, or you want to get closer to it? Like,
Everything is threat on mountain.
that's fair. All right.
Do I know what this thing is? No.
You have
You can't see it.
efficiency in mountain. What did you say?
No.
It's
I don't
literally
know.
only possible for Gnocchi to see it because he effectively has binoculars that give him advantage on perception checks.
I mean, are we not going to give the stone to the person who knows things about magic?
I mean, you literally just.
He hands you the stone,
All
Omen.
right, Omen, I need you
Yeah,
in
can I
character.
try it? So all he has to do is like I just hand him the phone. You know, like I'll create the magic and I hand it back to him to send it. Just literally just speak into
Stop
it.
trying to watch the world burn.
I
Finish
toss
the
it to him. I
lifeline.
toss it over to his massive chest. Hits the armor. It goes to no.
Just think of how much Illigus could bench.
I just,
if he had
like,
two
why
punches.
would you hand it to Illigan? Why wouldn't you hand it
Illigus,
to Yoki?
give me that thing.
Like,
Give it to me.
I don't know how to say that in character, but it's like, I think too highly of you.
Illigus, give me the pretty rock in your left pocket.
It's on the floor.
You dropped it. Lower me to the floor.
Milo picks the damn stone up and puts it in Noki's palm.
Thank you, horned child.
Hey,
Clicks button on
Molly, what's my
Horn.
number again?
4571.
Yep, 4571.
That's 4571. I'm kidding.
He salutes. All right, 4571. At ease.
No, you wouldn't say that.
Noki clears his throat, clicks the button, and with like perfect precision, relays a message to Dolgrim about the threat and taking cover, and that we're on our way.
I'm gonna need y'all to take the next 20 minutes to craft the perfect 25-word message. Actually,
No.
Big
I forgot that I have an appointment at 11:12, so I gotta go.
what?
Big monster! Destroy camp! Prepare to strike!
Okay, no, but
Oh.
sorry, like what literally are you telling him, Gnocchi? Just because I need to know to respond.
We see it. Take cover. We are on our way. So I assume they see it too. Because they're about a mile out behind us, right?
So, so when you ask them, or when you send this message, Dolgrim would respond. How does this damn thing work? I did not see a giant. It is very, very windy, snowy out there. We will do better to look. Thanks for the warning.
Too late. Better to look was it.
Thanks for the.
Ow!
How far away are they from us?
You did not ask that.
Well, we set up a. How far are they going to travel behind us before we even started all
Yeah,
this?
I mean they would stay. I mean, in my mind, they would stay. They've been staying like a mile and a half away. Have you informed them of? Because I remember in a recap, Ryan. I don't know if you remember that you had noticed that Maliki was sending Goliath scouts to backtrack.
Yes, we informed them.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember that specifically.
Okay. Got it. So like to account for that, they have been traveling a little bit like they were doing a mile originally, but once that information was known to them, they've been traveling a little bit further back and just trying their best to evade that scouting party that is out.
Got it.
Yeah.
Then I would, because I forgot about the scouting party. I would have just told them to keep cover, stay back where they are. We'll take care of this. We don't want to extend the show.
Okay.
Turn the moosies around and we'll go deal with it.
what did I
Y'all want me
miss?
to go tell the Goliath lady?
The F did I miss?
For what part?
We're taking care of the big monster
Why?
because the leader said so.
I don't understand.
I mean, you can ask.
My finger. It tires from boredom.
Other than that, why?
Because it's pretty close to the people we know, I think was the main.
Yeah, but it's 20.
Isn't it 1 mile back?
It is super easy to see.
It's 1 mile away and I'm the only one who sees it.
Why don't we just, at the very least, like just send a scouting party to just see, is it an imminent danger or can we easily just, bypass it? We have zero information.
How does magic stone work?
This-
We already used it. It can't be used again.
I can do ascending.
Is it the stone only one-time use?
Yeah, no, but I have the spell sending, so I can.
I mean, is it actually only one-time use?
I think it's just once a day.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
I believe tactical advantage is at hand.
So we're agreed to go.
No.
Well,
We
told
just
the
can't
dwarves.
unify to make a decision to save our lives.
Do I go tell the Goliath lady?
No!
Okay, then.
Then
I'm
what do
gonna
you want to
start
do with it?
I'm
I
gonna
already
start walking-
said!
I'm gonna start walking in that
The
direction.
F!
I'll be quiet. Y'all can come with, or you can let me go get info and come back.
He can do whatever he likes, but large creature we stand to gain tactical advantage. We wait, creature strike, we do what we do.
Do you want to kill the people who are? I'm confused. What's our relationship to this camp? I thought we weren't necessarily antagonistic. We were
We are
going
not.
with them.
Molly, could you clarify the situation? Because I think there's some confusion between us as to where the monster is in relation to who, and
Yep. So,
it.
so this giant is about a mile back through the wind and the snow right now as you travel further into the Goliath territory. The only reason Yoki was able to see this thing was due to his goggles. Like, he rolled an incredibly high perception check, and with the ability for him to be able to look out that far is the only reason why he sees this thing. Like, when y'all try and look,
so hard.
I mean, we got that, Molly. We can't see it.
yeah. So it's a mile out from y'all. Dolgrim doesn't see it where he is. They are farther out than a mile. And the giant seems to have its sights on the war camp as it's moving. So I guess I'm not really.
So then in that case,
sure
what's the motivation to letting the giant hit the war camp?
It stands. Okay, Illios, I don't know.
We're saying fortify here and wait for it to come to us. Is that what you're saying?
I am saying there's no reason to make alarm at all. If they have giant freaking boomsticks, then they can freaking defend themselves. We just have to make sure these dwarven prisoners aren't destroyed. We can still jump in and save the day, but like we don't need to be at the head of that charge. They're reluctantly working with us, sort
Correct.
of.
That's right. And we're pretty much the only ones who actually care about the dwarven prisoner safety, right?
Correct.
So,
Because the only reason
and we're staying close to those, right?
Yes.
Because that was the whole point of us being. Yeah, I remember now.
And the only
now it's all coming back to me.
Yeah, the only reason it's not like it's been almost 4 years. The only reason why the dwarven prisoners are being treated as quote unquote well as they are is because y'all stood up for them and managed to basically intimidate Maliki into complying to y'all's demand in that way. But she was very pissed because they are theirs to do with as they please by right of conquest.
I think the Blood Wolf wants to eat them, and that's why she wouldn't let him go. But my hands were tied. So again, it's like the Goliath.
I now see what you're saying.
We want to redeem the faction of the Goliaths. We want to use their might overall, all of the clans. We need to do that. But here, right here, tactically, Illios sees an advantage that, maybe a couple of Goliaths get freaking wiped out by this thing, and who knows what chaos it would bring. There's no reason to go headlong into a possible advantage because they're not for us, and they may not ever be for us.
Copy
and
that.
Noki says all of this.
just my thoughts. We could do what you want to do. That I just wanted to make sure that at least that train of thought was out there. If that helps.
I think I have a better understanding now, at least of what's the. Milo's going to follow y'all's lead on this. Then, he seems reluctant because he does think that it does mean that people are going to die, but he's going to assume y'all know best through wisdom of age.
Okay, so effectively business as usual, yeah? Until something happens.
Yeah, but I think we would be positioned pretty closely to the prisoners still.
Oh,
we're already doing that.
Yeah, I always assume y'all are next to them or even intermingling.
I forgot they existed until 10
until just now.
So
yeah, fair.
Yeah, so Illios would have purposely led the party to the opposite side of where Gnocchi saw the monster, kind of trying to direct where the camp is being set up, trying to influence that the dwarven prisoners are towards the other side of the camp.
Do I see I might be doing something not good.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean?
Do I see Havoc?
You can definitely find him, yeah.
Is he one of the people that's close to us? Because I know there's certain Goliaths that are essentially set to watch us.
He would actually not be a part of the party that is set to watch you.
Okay. But is he anywhere in the vicinity?
You can find him.
Yeah. I'm not going to approach him or say anything to him, but I am going to keep an eye, just keep a mental note of where he's at.
Mm-hmm.
So if combat does break out, Milo's keeping half an eye in that direction.
Okay. Got it. That's good, considering you killed the majority of his squad.
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
Yeah. So even with that, Illios had it in the back of his mind, what you told him that Havoc tried to do for him, and so he was already going to, oh, Havoc, my friend, please come join us for some snoo is made by famous gnocchi chef.
In giant.
Yes, yeah, of course.
Perfect. Yeah,
My
I mean,
handshake, I said I owed him.
yeah, so if this is an offer that's extended to him towards the end of the day, because Gnocchi, I'm assuming after you see that thing, you basically just want to keep your eyes on it, like the whole time, like as long as you can, yeah. Or I just wanted to see what you're doing, Gnocchi. That's it.
I'll just keep an eye on it.
Okay, yeah. So you keep an eye on it. The hours pass by. It becomes 6. The sun starts to set. It gets colder. You go through your normal routine of them setting down. And as the hours pass and you continue to watch this thing, it keeps lumbering towards y'all at that distance. And as night falls, you see a second one appear. It looks like they have... It looks like they're going back and forth with each other from what you see. And they walk away out of your eyesight for now as light fades and the day ends. So you do see a second one. But as y'all are putting everything together and you begin your evening camp, Illios, you extended that invitation to Havoc. I want you to make a persuasion check for me.
17.
Okay. I'll make my first roll. Okay. So Havoc glances around at some of the other Goliaths around him, and they give him strange looks, but he looks to you and says, I accept your offer, Lionheart, to join you by the fire. Or to join you by your fire. Right, yeah. So Havoc joins you in the camp. Havoc, you notice Havoc intentionally sits where Milo is not. Yeah, I mean, he's just going to be next to you, but if Milo's to your left, he's going to be on your right, like that kind of thing.
Milo's gonna go to the restroom and not come back.
The insecurity's getting to him.
He's gonna go to the restroom and not come back.
That's funny. Okay. And, he takes the bowl of snoo, kind of brings it to his face, sniffs it. And
Go ahead.
Yeah, sniffs it, and he just brings it to his lips and just kind of pours it a little bit, and you can see his eyes widen as he just looks at you, and then downs the rest of the stew.
So I just want you to imagine, like, the entire time he's sitting there, it's not like quiet. Illios is just talking and talking and talking about, like, all of the past adventures and all of his journeys and all of the great feats of strength. He's just like he's just keeps talking. Yeah, and there we were on top of mountain, looking for miles away. He's just like, won't shut up. Surrounded by gold.
Somehow a goat was there. Yeah. So Havoc has just been taking all these stories in, and depending on what you tell him, like his eyes widen at the mention of what happened with the hags.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Yeah, just because of like the nature of what those are. And do you tell him basically of everything that transpired in Marangol?
Probably doesn't get that far.
Okay,
He's
got
got
it.
a lot of stories to tell.
Got it. And so he takes all of it in. He says, for one, or what was his voice? For one not much older than me, you have seen much of the world. I have not met another of the people quite like you. You confound, or he wouldn't say confound. You confuse me, is the best way to put it.
And in true Illigith style, he places a hand on Havoc's back. As you can, as everybody, I mean, it's really obvious to the party how Illigith thinks and what he is very clearly doing. He is making sure or making it known that he wants people to feel important, to feel special, to feel encouraged, to feel he brings people together is exactly what he's doing. And you've seen him do this several times to different people throughout the journeys. And, like his stories would be a little bit more colored towards, like the Goliaths, right? To appeal to Havoc as, as a friend, as a kin, right? And I tell you, there is entire world out there. Many, many evil people. But many more friends to be made.
Like the dwarves.
And, I mean, Illigith actually stops and thinks. Yes. Many friends to be found among the dwarves.
This is why you confuse me. You have shared these many stories with me, and I can see that you have seen much of what this world has to offer, none of which I have seen.
And he would beckon to the other, or he'd beckon to just the landscape around you.
This has been my life. It is all I have known. And in your stories of these adventures, where are the Thunuk Avan in all of this? They came to us many years ago. Less than what we would think. And in no time at all.
And his face would kind of grimace.
The owl unified us. But at the same time, trod upon all of what we hold sacred and all of our tradition. You confuse me, Lionheart. You are his brother. You do not share stories of him, of their clan. You appeal to tradition in sparing my life through the rite of submission. And when my captain issues a formal challenge to you, and you duel, you make a mockery of the whole thing. It does not make sense. Are you for us, or are you against us? What do you hold to be true? What is your tradition? What is your way? Because it seems to change with the passing moments. My kin, I know they look at my back while I sit here, and they wonder, have I turned? I am with them. They do not speak to me as they would before. I am not allowed in my war captain's personal guard as I was before. And I am wondering, Lionheart, and he looks you straight, like dead in the eye. Should I even be talking to you? Should I be listening? Am I not ruining my life? And all that I hold sacred by eating with you and your not charges, and your, as you would have called them, your friends.
After a bit of a pause, Illigith grows a large smile naturally. And he points, actually placing his finger on Havoc's chest. That is for your heart to decide, my friend.
I do not understand.
I am not surprised.
Damn it all.
Okay, fine. There is no tradition that I would allow to get in the way of saving my friend.
Are you talking about me?
Now you get picture.
And he's just processing all of this, and and it looks like he's thinking of something. Honestly, this is like this is a pretty well-spoken Goliath, like all things considered. Like his mind seems to function like is a bit sharper, to even be considering like most of the things that he's been talking about. And and he would say, in common, Owl taught this, taught me. There. Talk. And he would point to Omen, Milo, Gnocchi. And he would go back speaking in Giant.
Golka.
Golka. The owl. Actually, no, he would continue speaking in Common. Owl wanted me and other young to know their talk. He wanted alliance. And his brow would kind of furrow. Not alliance, trade. To connect with not the people. And he's intentionally speaking in Common, of course, right now. To you.
Because nobody else understands it.
Yep. And speaking in Golka again. Thank you for the meal, Lionheart. I will return now. Yep. And he would hesitate for a second and then put that same fist to his chest. And walk away.
One at a time, boys. One at a time.
And with that, it is 11:41. And I think this
Time
leaves
for another break and then we come back.
Ha 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 ha. Yeah, just another break. No, I think this is a pretty good breaking point, so that we can come back and play next time. It is going to happen. Let's not in 3 years. It is going to happen sooner. Let's just go ahead and get a date on the calendar after I end the stream here, so that we can make sure that we play this game again as soon as we can. So thank you all for joining me, and for the person that will be watching in the future that I now know is more than me. It will at least be one or two of each of you as well. And, thank you all. Have a good night, and so good to be back in Illios.
Yeah.
And I promise the gunslinger who does a lot of damage. I promise the sorcerer that has spells that can take out vast armies. I promise the wizard who would love to enchant as many people as he can to do their bidding. Cough.
Successfully.
And and the paladin who can smite things real good.
No, I just want to shield people.
Yes. And you will have people to shield. In the next session, there will be a combat. I promise. Good night, Tri-State area.